Kunle Olulode, who joins us from London. How good is this movie, film, I should say, is the British way of describing a cinema release? How good is it?
Well, when you see the stellar cast, you know you're in for a treat, and it lives up to the hype. I think that the performances of De Niro and Pacino together are worth the price of entry to any cinema alone. But this particular storyline has obviously been an intriguing one for people in America, particularly the legend of Jimmy Hoffa, the Teamsters trade union leader, and the disappearance of this man many years ago. The connections with organized crime and the American trade union movement has been well rehearsed and researched, but the actual particulars of Hoffa's death is something that has, as I say, has intrigued historians and journalists for years. And this book, the book on which this film is based, I Heard You Paint Houses, the paint being obviously blood, is about a hitman who's in the employ of the mafioso who gets close to Hoffa. And in his kind of memoirs, relays these happenings that we see in the film to a journalist, and we get an insight into, I suppose, the most credible storyline in terms of Hoffa's disappearance and the events leading up to his demise.
Kunle, what marks it out as particularly a Martin Scorsese film?
I think that obviously he's back with his two of his key buddies, Joe Pesci and De Niro, who go back through Goodfellas, and with De Niro's case going back to his first breakout film, Mean Streets, way back in the late 70s. But I think it's just the atmosphere, the writing, and obviously the theme of organized crime, which he executed so brilliantly through the Godfather films. You'd have thought that the genre, as I said, has been milked to death, but actually this has given it, I think, a new twist on an old flavor, which is that we've got here more understated, more paced performances of mature actors who are still at the top of their game. You know, Scorsese himself is almost 80. De Niro, 75, and Pacino, 76. So we're talking about real veterans of the dramatic genre coming together to create what is an epic film, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah,
and something that is engaging.
But you're talking about those two actors who are in their 70s, and then that de-aging technology that they use. Does that bother you? Because when I look at them, I think, hold on, you do look slightly fake. I mean, wouldn't you rather go back to the old way of getting another actor to play, you know, a younger character rather than use computer imagery?
I think Scorsese is still somebody who is pushing at the cutting edge of film. And the idea of using technology to show these guys in their youth, to be able to take 40 years off them, I don't think it works completely, but it doesn't detract from the quality of the performances or indeed the storyline of the film. In fact, after a while, you just simply get used to it, and it works. But I'm sure that as time goes on, we're going to see more of this. And hats off to Scorsese to actually take the risk of actually introducing CGI techniques into his films, which is something that, you know, I know that he's been critical of in terms of its use in Marvel films, for example.
OK, just finally, in about a minute, if you can, what did you make of Martin Scorsese's criticism of Marvel films, saying, what did he say exactly? That they're not cinema? What did you make of that?
They're not cinema. Yeah, I think maybe there's a bit of envy there, because in terms of dollar signs, those Marvel films have been hugely successful. But I think the last time that I was on this program, I talked about the fact that digital platforms and streaming are actually going to have a tremendous impact on transforming the film industry. CGI is one aspect of that digital revolution. The other aspect is itself the issues, I think, that have been brought to the fore in terms of how this film's being distributed. And there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that apart from Belfast and London, when the film opens tomorrow, you'll only be able to see it in those two key cities because, as you know, some of the cinemas have boycotted the film because of this 90-day gap that people like to have between an online release of a film before it, after it goes into the cinema.
Right.
So what we have now is the film actually now coming out in 3 weeks' time on the digital platform of Netflix.
Okay, Kunle, we're out of time, but I love talking to you. Kunle Olulode in London, this has been